Hello everybody, my name is Delzar Slade. Today we're doing a reaction video. So this is gonna be a reaction to Foundry, a extremely fucking well done like group of people. Like, sorry, I had to blow away that burp. But the group that makes Foundry, beautiful people, do an amazing job. I raise my glass to them. We're gonna be starting this video, and I'm gonna talk the fuck out of it because I like talking. Okay, but this is gonna be over when the hero finally gets revenge. Anyways, let's begin.
You may not want to admit it, but like everyone, you've probably toyed with the idea of revenge.
Oh yeah.
Even if you've never acted on it, I bet you've had the urge to get back at someone for something they've done to you. I mean,
Constantly.
how could you deny it? I see how much of this you put into your fiction. It's obviously very important to you humans. There are so many stories.
By the way, I love the imagery that they're using right here because, Lady Justice is supposed to be blind. But oh, the imagery of Lady Justice taking off her blindfold is so fucking scary. When the law isn't blind, it is horrifyingly vengeful.
About it. A man is falsely imprisoned and dedicates his life to tracking down his jailer. A monster is created into a life of suffering and does everything in its power to bring the same misery to its creator. A group of mobsters kill a man's dog and swiftly come to regret that decision. That's what revenge is, right? Justice, the urge to restore the balance to the world. It's only fair, after all. This understanding of revenge is so common, it's even a part of social institutions and cosmologies. The death penalty is still authorized and administered in 27 of the United States. The concept of karma implies that every action has a proportionate cosmic reaction, good or bad. So, if revenge is just a method of enforcing justice, something morally good, why does it sometimes feel so wrong? I mean, think of how often revenge plots and stories are about murder and manipulation, sometimes in ways that are worse than the original slight. Why is it that we rally behind these revenge seekers, can see their missions as righteous, even when we normally consider what they're doing evil?
Simple. The humanity of everyone is tainted with at least a tinge of darkness. And what I mean by darkness isn't, oh, it's actually dark in by literal sense. I mean in by the sense of we feel that this thing is wrong, but this anger, frustration, and the need to actually get what we want from this situation compels us to go and seek it out. The thing is, we can seek it out through media like this and not have to do it in reality. Or you can be like some people, not pointing names, me, and you just hold that shit. The beauty of this damn introduction.
Are you enjoying the video so far?
Yes.
I hope so. We release one of these pretty much every week, which means that, after this one, you'll have to wait at least another 7 days for your next Tale Foundry fix. Although, technically, you don't really have to. We've actually made a ton of stuff that isn't up here on YouTube, like this video about the morphology.
Local? Oh my goodness. I think I've only seen. Is that from a movie or is that a meme? Because I can't tell. Because I've seen like small clips, like snippets of shit. And I don't even remember where that original line is from. Or is it from a book? My name is Inigo Montoya. You've killed my father. Prepare to die. Or, my way of saying it, which is, my name is Inigo Montoya. Killed my father. Prepare to die.
Of angels and why artists always give them wings. Or this one about artificial life as a magic system. We even made a whole original series called Worldsmiths about our favorite authors and the unique landscapes of their minds. And hey, if you just don't want to wait for next week's YouTube video, the truth is,
Princess Bride?
it's actually already
Huh.
out. That's right. You can watch it right now, ad-free, along with everything.
I think that's actually in the list of things to watch. Hold on, let me scroll down to the bottom. Yeah, that no, I took it out the list because I had too many things in here. I might throw it back in there later.
else I just mentioned over on our streaming platform, Nebula. Visit go.nebula.tv/TaleFoundry to sign up for just $2.50 a month. Or, if you join right now, you could get a lifetime membership for just $300 altogether. Pay for it just once and then never again. It's honestly one of the cheapest and best ways to support the show. Thanks so much to everyone who checks it out. There's a lot of room for complexity around this topic, but let's start with something a little less nuanced. It's very easy to see revenge as a good thing when it's proportional. A
Yeah,
punishment that seems to match the caliber of the crime committed feels just.
you smacked me in my mouth, I will punch you in your mouth. Although, if anyone here has known me long enough, you know damn well that I take a little bit extra. Hit me in my chest, I kick you in your dick. I believe you both will learn their lesson. Me, because I haven't kicked anything in so long that I probably won't sprain my ankle. And you, because you just got kicked in the dick.
You see this everywhere in fiction. The movie The Princess Bride has what is probably one of the most iconic
Oh my
examples of a
god, it
revenge-driven
literally mentioned
character
right
ever,
here.
the master swordsman Inigo Montoya. I'm sure his catchphrase is already ringing through your mind.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya.
Local,
killed my
you are a
father.
fucking genie.
Prepare to die.
After witnessing his father's murder at the hands of Count Rugen, the six-fingered man, Inigo Montoya makes it his life's mission to kill the Count. When he finally manages to do it, even giving the Count scars to match the ones he received from him as a child, it's poetic and satisfying. Inigo's
Yeah.
mission is generally considered morally justified, and the audience roots for him the entire time. It also helps that Inigo is characterized very favorably in the narrative, being good-natured and a loyal friend. Since we see Inigo as a good guy, it's easy for us to imagine that his motivation is also good. There's also the fact that, in his quest for vengeance, Inigo never takes any innocents down with him. He keeps his goal fair and proportionate to the original act. One man killed out of cruelty.
I wonder are they gonna bring up Blue-Eyed Samurai, because I swear that's legitimately one of my favorite films, like favorite things to watch this year. Is legit just Blue-Eyed Samurai, because there's so many revenge plots that go, okay, we're gonna make them good again, you know, or they're gonna be better by the end, you know, they're gonna learn to be. God damn, Blue-Eyed Samurai! I haven't finished the last fucking episode, but from what I can see, they do not redeem her. She does not redeem. She does not come back. She goes down the path of vengeance and never comes back.
Cruelty, one man killed out of vengeance. If Inigo had gone out of his way to murder other people on his path to hunt down his father's killer, I'm sure that would spoil the fun a little bit for us following along at home. His reasoning would still be justified, but would the methodology of his revenge affect how we view its morality?
Yes.
It's hard to say looking at the gleaming example of righteous fury that Inigo sets. Lucky for us, there's another piece of literature that explores this question quite well, a much less proportionate revenge plot that is just ripe for the picking apart. Shakespeare's Hamlet.
Oh yeah.
It's a very complicated story
I
that
read that in high
starts off
school.
similar to Inigo's and then sort of spirals off. It's another getting revenge for my dead dad story, but this time it's not as cut and dry. When the ghost of Hamlet's father tasks him with taking revenge on his murderer, King Claudius, Hamlet upends pretty much everything in order to carry out his father's wishes. Though he does eventually kill King Claudius, he's pretty inefficient and takes the entire Danish court down with him. These additional deaths were all avoidable had Hamlet killed Claudius when he had the opportunity, but his indecision cost him his chance. Unlike Inigo, who had a 1-to-1 kill count, Hamlet's revenge had a body count about a half dozen bigger than it needed to be.
Fuck.
Because of this, his story isn't as satisfying, and
No,
in the end,
that is-
feels much less
that's
like
a tragedy.
justice and much more like a,
Slaughter.
well, tragedy. But
Well,
does
yeah.
that inefficiency make Hamlet's revenge plot evil? Some
No.
scholars, such as Stanford University professor
I would define it as this a tragedy. You wouldn't be evil for doing what you just did. I'm sorry, I had one person in intention. I had no intention to just cause meaningless suffering. Are my actions justified? Absolutely not. But they were never evil. Now, say he avoided them and went straight for the one man, that would have been a justified death. You've killed one man, and I've come back to kill you. That's the nature of life. For if you kill, I will kill you. God, I'm now thinking about the fucking JJK shit. It was just, I'm you.
Eleanor Prosser argue that, yes, it does. Quote, the surrender to revenge is seen as the surrender of reason. She argues that Hamlet's true evil manifests in his specific desire to cast his uncle to hell, as seen by his refusal to kill him while he's praying. To me, Hamlet just seems a bit immature and overwhelmed, somehow indecisive and impulsive at the same time, which allowed things to get out of hand in a way he didn't intend. There's even a line in the 1948 film adaptation that describes the story as the tragedy of a man who couldn't make up his mind. When you compare him to Inigo, Hamlet almost seems cruel, blinded by his lust for revenge and willing to do whatever it takes, even at his own expense. In cases like that, would it be better to just let go, forgive and forget?
Oh, if we're talking about whether you should let go in terms of revenge, yeah, most situations you probably should. But when it comes to determining, I feel like this, right? Forgiveness is obviously going to be the better option. But if you are going to go down the path of revenge, try your fucking best not to drag as many people as possible.
The way these characters talk about revenge, that almost doesn't seem like an option. Like they're compelled to do this thing by the cosmic scales of justice. But honestly, nobody is forcing these characters to end their quests with more bloodshed. If they wanted to, they could just walk away. And, to their credit, there are a few stories out there that start with the character formulating some grand scheme for exacting their vengeance, but then, when the big moment finally comes, they just
No.
decide it's not worth it. And when you set the concept of justice as a fundamentally good thing aside, this actually seems like it might be the more moral path, right? Refusing to cause more harm despite what your fevered emotions are telling you? Even so, moral isn't always the same thing as satisfying. The right thing is so often the opposite of the fulfilling thing. But in some
Oh, that's
interesting
true.
cases, it can indeed be both. In fact, sometimes mercy is even crueler. There's an episode of the show Avatar The Last.
I don't know what episode he's about to mention, but I'm just gonna say this now. If we're talking about wound them, leave them horribly disfigured, and then leave them to live, yeah, that's more cruel. I do wonder where they're going with this,
Last
though.
Airbender that demonstrates this really nicely. It's called The Southern Raiders, and it's about a young waterbender named Kitara who has just
Oh, fuck yeah, this is it. No, like legit, this is just a revenge episode. Oh, this is actually a really good example. Okay, so first off, um, would I have taken him? No. After knowing that he was going to just be a miserable old man, he got his life saved by the fact that it is awful. Had he been someone who was sitting out lavishly in a palace somewhere, living his best life, I, in all honesty, would not have forgiven him. I would have just fucking took him. Obviously, this is me talking into Katara's situation, but it's not my place.
discovered the location of the man who killed her mother when she was a child. She remembers him as a cruel, evil man who ripped her mother away from her in cold blood, which is true, but by the time she finally tracks him down, he is not what she expected. In the years since her mother's
Yeah.
death, this once ruthless killer has become pretty pathetic. He's old and weak and lives at the mercy of his demanding mother. Seeing this, and conflicted about the idea of taking a life herself, in the end, Kitara decides to spare him, but not before roasting him nearly to death.
I always wondered what kind of person could do such a thing, but now that I see you, I think I understand. There's just nothing inside you. Nothing at all. You're pathetic and sad and empty. But as much as I hate you, I just can't do it.
Though we don't see Kitara get the revenge she had set out for, I actually really like this. It's satisfying to see Kitara differentiate herself from her mother's murderer by deciding not to do the same thing at all.
I'm just saying, had he have been someone else, there's a higher chance that she would have at least thought about it.
Even for the sake of justice. That might have felt unfulfilling to me as a member of the audience, but that's part of what makes this particular beat so clever. Allowing this old man, shell of his former military glory that he is, to continue his pitiful little existence running errands for his mother until he dies, honestly seems like it might be a fate worse than death anyway. And if that isn't enough to sell you on her choice, there's also the question of functionality to consider here. Remember earlier when I compared the death penalty to revenge? That's a good example of what I mean by functional. If you feel there's no hope for a killer to reform, then this punishment seems as though it would have a tangible purpose, removing them from society and keeping them from committing more murders. If Kitara had killed the old man, it wouldn't actually have solved anything. His military days are long since over. It's not like he's still much of a threat to anyone. For her, it would have been purely emotional, which, though completely understandable, is also somewhat indulgent, perhaps. It would have begged the question, is she the kind of person for whom murder is ever the correct emotional remedy? Instead, because she's able to hold that pain within her and let him live, she looks like the master of her own emotions. Her values are intact. She doesn't need to stoop to his level. She's the bigger person, and everyone knows it.
I'm just gonna say it's also
especially him.
kill people.
Which brings me to an interesting thought. Although a life for a life is proportionate in Kitara's case, it's also much tidier than letting this guy live. She could just snuff him out, mete out justice then and there, bring the thing to its ultimate just conclusion. After death, what other tricky plot twists can a person create in your life?
Yeah.
I think this is part of why the stakes in revenge plots so often center on murder, and why it's interesting, jarring, and, oddly, almost even more malicious when vengeance is exacted in different ways.
Oh,
I
fuck.
can think of no better example of this than the 2012 video game Dishonored.
What?
You play as Corvo Atano, the bodyguard turned lover of an empress who, after being attacked by a group of assassins and watching her daughter get kidnapped, dies in your arms. You, of course, are framed for these crimes and spend the entire game trying to get back at all those who ruined your life. This is a game that leaves very little about its morality up to your imagination. It has a good ending and a bad ending. If you kill everyone you're after, you get the bad ending. If you find non-lethal ways to take your hit list out, you get the good ending. So I guess that's the solution. Revenge via killing people is bad, but revenge, if you don't murder anybody, is good. Oh, of course, it's not that simple. Sure, you can choose alternate ways to get your revenge that don't involve
Torture is
bloodshed,
almost always
but
worse
some of
than
those
death.
non-lethal methods are far worse than flat-out murdering these people. In the fan-favorite level, Lady Boyle's Last Party, you have to infiltrate a masquerade ball and take out your target, one of the 3 masked Boyle sisters. And again, you have a choice to make. You could simply end her life, get it over with, move on to your next mark. Or you could make her disappear in a much quieter fashion. Because, you see, you meet a man earlier in the level who is obsessed with Lady Boyle, who has a plan in place to take her away on a boat, if only you'll deliver her to him unconscious.
Excuse me, the fuck? Like, I was listening to this and just going, okay, we're gonna be going down, the torture route or the pulling of nails and removing of fingers. I don't trust giving her to this man. Oh no, this is rubbing me in many wrong ways because there's nothing that I can imagine is good about
Conscious. Seriously, that's your other option. It doesn't take much imagination to see why being a woman kidnapped by your stalker may present a fate worse than death. It also
Fuck,
forces
it's
you to
so
reassess whatever morality you had been trying to assign to Corvo over the course of your playthrough. This is a man bent on avenging his lover and rescuing his daughter, yet he has no qualms with what is essentially trafficking another young woman? Yikes. This is apparently who you're playing as, and somehow you're supposed to think of this character, and by extension yourself, as the good guy? So, to get the
yeah, and this
bad
is how we
ending,
would get the
you
good ending.
quietly
Yeah,
kill
that's
all
why I
your
was like, the
marks.
fuck.
Okay, that checks out. Murder is bad. To get the good ending, you traffic a young woman's unconscious body. Right. Good. But I think
This even reminds me to my own sense of morality. I never find it satisfying when people are like, I will send my henchman to do a job. I personally go with the idea of if you plan to take someone's life, look them dead in the eyes. Do not send meaningless soldiers to slaughter the village. Do it your damn self. Acknowledge their lives. Treat them with respect. Don't fucking sell people off. Jesus, that hits so many wrong places for me. Just ugh.
there's actually an interesting point in all of this. Justice isn't actually about proportionality.
No,
That
it's
can
not.
certainly make it feel more measured and reasonable. But when you get right down to it, outside functional purposes like getting murderers out of the public, justice is just a very emotional thing. Unto itself, it is absolutely not necessary at all. It just makes you feel better, even when it moves you to do things you would otherwise consider evil. Remember at the start of the video when I called you out for the revenge fantasies that I know you have from time to time?
Oh yeah,
Still not sorry about that. I think it's true.
true. Yeah.
Humans do think about this stuff. Heck, from time to time I think about this stuff. But I also
Excuse
don't
me,
think
what?
the
You're a
average
robot.
person
Hold
will
up.
usually go out of their way to harm anybody, regardless of how
Yeah.
powerful that yearning for justice may be. Those are the dark thoughts, the things you push down and repress to live in a functional society. Yet, as with all repressed urges, there's always the threat that they may bubble up to the surface, and there, fiction can and does certainly help. Because fiction, as we know, can give you blessed catharsis. A
Yay.
safe release of all those pent-up emotions. There's a specific breed of horror that seems to center around revenge fantasies. Some titles in this arena are too disturbing to mention here, and I honestly
What?
worry that they go over the line from catharsis to other, less savory emotions. However, there are a few that actually sort of make sense, even though they are so brutal. The book Carrie by Stephen King is a great example of this. It's about a troubled high school girl who is relentlessly tormented by her peers in a variety of increasingly cruel ways. It finally comes to a head at prom when she unleashes her latent telekinetic powers to basically level the entire town. Clearly,
Fuck.
this revenge is not at all proportional or functional. She's so
Yeah.
enraged that she even kills people who were her friends. But even so, it's hard not to cheer her on. I mean, the world has been so cruel to her. In a messed up kind of way, it sort of feels like everyone just getting what they deserve. When she dies at the end of the story, I can't say I wasn't a little disappointed that I didn't get to see the full extent of her outburst. Maybe this time I did want to see a few more gas stations explode. And maybe that's because, like so many of you watching, I know what it's like to be bullied. My face is all over the internet after all. What can I say? It's a bit cathartic. Almost everyone, in some way or another, has experienced what Carrie has, and it feels kind of good to project onto her, get a little bit of satisfaction from her fulfilled revenge arc. The kind of thing you think about in the darkest corners of your mind, but would never in a million years act on, because despite the catharsis, you know that what she's doing is still evil.
Oh yeah,
There
most
are
definitely.
a lot of books and movies like this, most that I cannot recommend you watch, especially if you're squeamish. Revenge horror, which is often in a category with torture porn, often centers on women like Carrie who are
Uh,
driven to do things that are absolutely wrong, who in any other context you would revile,
oh
but
yeah,
who
most definitely.
also, in the context of their stories and all the horrors they've been made to endure at the hands of their abusers, you cannot help but root for. These stories create a context where, perversely, you might actually find that you enjoy watching someone be evil. And,
Yeah,
I mean, who could blame you?
I think I literally mentioned this in the earlier. It was like you will feel a way, and fiction lets you do it. Aha! I wrapped around before they did the wrap around.
Justice is a thing so often held up as fundamentally good, but the truth is that justice is often a moralized mask for revenge.
All shall know pain. Sorry, I'm just thinking Naruto shit, just random anime things. Like I'm you, or we will all know pain.
And, as we've seen, revenge is messy. There is no amount of
Astro,
proportionality or
that is a
serviceable
really good
function that can
question,
make it definitively good
and I
or
can't give
evil.
you a definitive
It
answer
can
because
be
you have to tell me
justifiable,
more
it can be
specific
satisfying,
things,
it
like
can even be
which
useful.
dragons.
But at the same time, it can be convoluted and terrible and leave a bad taste in your mouth. The only thing we can really say definitively about the idea of revenge is that it is powerful. In the words of author William Goldman, life isn't fair, it's
Hmm.
just fairer than death. That's all. I think it's pretty understandable that, given all the terribly unjust things that happen in this world, there's such a strong yearning to tip the scales back a bit. Take that power into your own hands. Fix this world's unfairness, no matter the cost. And make no mistake, as we've seen in so many stories, vengeance can, and just might, cost you everything.
So if this is just the Nebula ad
And
at the
I'm
end,
afraid that's all for this week.
I'm probably gonna skip the Nebula ad and just have the Nebula link in the description. Also, the Patreon will be in the description. Basically, all the links will be in the description, so you can go and check them out. By the way, if we're doing the if dragons shed their skin, I would have to base that depending on which dragons and which fictions. Like, you got to give me like more details. Like, are we talking Skyrim dragons? We talking in general, Western? You got to get more specific because if we want to make a blanket statement, that's just a bad idea.
Our next video will be coming out in a week from now, so I'll see you then. Unless, of course, you don't want to wait. We've actually made a ton of stuff that isn't up here on YouTube, like this video about the morphology of angels and why artists always give them wings, or this one about artificial life as a magic system. We
Ooh.
even made a whole original series called Worldsmiths about our favorite authors and the unique landscapes of their minds. And, of course, if you just don't want to wait, next week's YouTube video is actually already out and ready to be watched. That's
Mhm.
right. You can watch it right now, ad-free, along with everything else I just mentioned, over on our streaming platform, Nebula. YouTube is kind of a crazy place to make content. Don't get me
It
wrong,
is.
I'm happy to have this platform, but you have to be so careful about your topic choices, your packaging, what you include in your videos. You just start to feel like you're walking on eggshells.
Mhm.
Nebula
Mhm. Mhm.
doesn't have any of those concerns. It's an entirely different environment, devoid of all the weird YouTube cynicism. The entire platform was built by creators for creators. Every
Mhm.
time
Mhm.
you watch a video there, a creator you love is getting paid, and far more than they would ever get paid on YouTube. And on top of that, Nebula even helps its creators to fund incredible original content. You know, like our
Ooh.
series, Worldsmiths. And we're not the only ones who have been busy over there. So many other amazing creators have started creating and sharing their own unique stuff on.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna let this play out. Give them their watch time. But the links will be in the description. Everything I had to say is just go support the people, okay? Watch them, check them out. I'm going to quite literally tell you to go support them on the Nebula. The links will be down there. There is no excuse of going, I don't want to click on their video to go over to their video. No, 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 no. The link is down here. Just go scroll down a little bit. Not damn hard. Flick your finger or scroll on the mouse wheel.
Nebula, like our friend Frankie from the channel A Bit Frank, or Tim from the channel Hello Future Me.
Ooh, hello,
Heck,
Future Me.
there's even a high-production, independently run sci-fi audio drama over there called The Sojourn, which is just so good.
Ooh.
I've been listening to it while working lately and loving every second of it. Nebula is just a really unique, fun, fresh environment. It kind of makes watching videos on the internet fun again. Speaking of which, here's the really fun part. Nebula is already cheaper than almost any other streaming platform on the internet, like $2.50 per month. That cheap. But right now, for a limited time only, we're offering you the chance to get Nebula for life. Just $300 one time, and you never have to pay again. No matter how big the platform gets, how fancy the content gets, unlike other streaming services, you can pay for this once and have access to it forever if you want to. In fact, right now you can even gift a lifetime subscription to a friend. All you have to do to get started is click
gift.
the link in the description or go to go.nebula.
That's enough for me to go, ooh, I want to do this. To give that to someone else, I might not. I'm sorry. We may be friends, but I'm not giving you a $300 gift. Just for basic friendship. Like some people in the friend group, yeah, but I don't know about just every friend.
TV/TaleFoundry and sign up for 1 year. That's it. Again, that's just $2.50 a month or $300 one time to get access for life. Frankly, I'm not quite sure how they can afford to do all this, but I'm definitely not complaining. Seriously, take it.
Yeah, you are correct, local. To break even.
Advantage of this offer while it's still going. I don't think any better one exists in the world of streaming. Anyway, that's all for this one.
To be fair, I know a lot of people who didn't make it to 10 years old, so that is a lifetime.
Thanks for watching, and keep making stuff up. I'll see you next week.
Anyways, bye everybody.